In a world full of rims, maybe one rim to rule them all? Or perhaps a rim made this world? Or so I thought, but RimWorld is not the first rim-type game, nor a rim-playing game. Hi folks, I'm Wizkidace, and today we are going to do a game overview of RimWorld. RimWorld is a procedurally generated simulation game about running a colony of survivors on a far-off planet. Imagine your classic Sims, but multiply the scope of weird atrocities that can happen to your characters by, well, about 1,000. Plus, it's like a micromanager's dream come true. RimWorld is developed by a Canadian game designer called Tynan Sylvester and published by Ludion Studios. RimWorld has been a very popular simulation management game on Steam since its original release in 2019. It's also been available on PS4 and Xbox One since 2022. So you might be wondering, why am I covering this game in 2025? Well, simply because I think it's neat and I've been playing it a bunch with my friends. That's all really. So what is this game even about? You start off with like a group of 3 to 4 characters in the middle of nowhere on an unknown planet, probably on the outer rim of the known galaxy. A RimWorld, so to speak. You get some starting supplies and equipment, and the objective is to survive and grow your colony by crafting, researching, gathering, and fighting while following your selected scenario to its dramatic conclusion. Well, alright. So far, that sounds like a typical survival crafting game, right? So what's so special about this one? Well, the thing that makes RimWorld unique is the way it plays and how detailed and wacky the simulation mechanics get. To begin with, you don't control your character directly most of the time. Instead, you can assign orders for your weird little dudes to build, haul, fight, etc. You can give them a very detailed schedule, like actually set which hours they get to sleep, work, or even play. You can also meticulously assign what tasks your character should be doing and prioritize them as well. Like if one of my characters is horrible at construction, I can put that down as a very low priority task and make someone else who is better at construction have it as high priority. This way the characters bad at construction will only help out if they have nothing else to do. Speaking of which, the cool thing is that each character that you get has their own set of personality, traits, skills, and even relationships that they're good at. They get better at skills that they practice, and their relationships change as they interact with the other characters. They can form bonds with each other's and even their pets. This, combined with the random story events that takes place, create a very interesting and oftentimes hilarious dynamic stories. Like in one of my games, I made some characters based on my IRL friends. Sham here is the head priest. He got depressed because his pet baby monkey got eaten by a rabid rat. Then the old man Shiraz over here, well, he got into a fight with Kyle, our chef, because Shiraz decided to call Kyle a squid. In the kerfuffle, Shiraz got his jaw broken and Kyle fractured his arm. But because Kyle was the only medic available at that time, he patched the old man up and then himself, and they both fell asleep next to each other at the infirmary. It's just poetic. This one time, a psychotic space hamster tried to attack us but got one shot by a random arrow, which I don't know where it came from. Weird shit like this makes this game really, really funny and really, really fun to play. You never know what's right around the corner. Even after playing the game several times, the procedural generation and the AI storyteller really gets things unpredictable and interesting. Apart from that, the game does have a lot of customization for your weird potato-like people. You can change their outfits, make them wear armor, give them cybernetic upgrades, weird implant, and just so much more. I think you might be able to recreate the Hidden Leaf Village in the game if you really want to. Speaking of combat in this game can be quite interesting as well. You can draft and manually take control of characters during the combat encounters. This turns the game into a sort of a turn-based RPG or an RTS, as you can command several units to fend off against bandits and other threats. It may require some getting used to, but it can be really fun. On top of this, the game has excellent mod support with over 40,000 mods. I'm not even making that up. Over 40,000 mods on the Steam Workshop alone. There is even a mod on the Steam Workshop that lets you put maid outfits on your potato people. It's, well, beautiful. Moving over to the visuals, this game is a top-down 2D Unity-based sim. As such, its graphics are fairly simple, but simple isn't necessarily a bad thing. The game has a very recognizable art style with plenty of well-made animations as well as splatter and particle effects. While your characters do look like Mr. Potato Head dolls or sentient eggs, it gets the job done very well. The characters and the environment are quite well designed with very little clutter. The sprites are actually kind of cute, particularly for the animals. Even the potato people have a strange allure to their designs. I suppose the clear and minimalistic style gives you more room to imagine what their intentions and feelings are. I personally love how derpy the potato people look. It's just extremely entertaining to watch them go about doing their daily stuff. Next, the sound. The OST for RimWorld was made by Alistair Lindsay, who is the same person who worked on the music for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and Prison Architect. The music is really good. It just perfectly fits the theme with its mix of percussion instruments and guitar. It's got this mix of sci-fi, cowboy, and like East Asian themes to it. This music is sure to keep you accompanied while you're going through the bizarre simulation adventures. When it comes to story and writing, there's sort of an overall goal. The story events are procedurally generated, and the storyteller will throw random events at you with varying difficulties, depending on which setting you picked for the storyteller and what difficulty your game is on. You can have a very chill game with Phoebe Chillax, or go for a chaotic run with Randy Random. Each of the storyteller option has a thematic name to them, so it's easy to understand who does what. You can also download mods that add a variety of other storytellers to this game. While there's a lot of randomization to the events you encounter, the events are well designed and the randomization adds a lot to the comedy and the surprise. Sometimes you get attacked by a rabid space hamster, and some other time it's a weird squirrel instead. There seems to be a lot of different events you can encounter, and this combined with the randomization element makes the game highly replayable and unpredictable. Performance-wise, RimWorld is, well, a 2D game with fairly simple graphics as I mentioned before, so obviously it should run quite smoothly. As a simulation game, there are a whole lot of things happening in the background. Numerous characters, animals, activities, enemies, effects, all with their own scripted things going on in the background. Because of this, I was expecting there to be at least some lag or extended loading times, but the game actually runs pretty well, and even on my lower powered computers in the house. As the game has been out for a while, the base game is pretty stable and bug free, albeit one of the newer expansions called Anomaly seems to have some bug complaints on the Steam page. I do not have that expansion, so I don't have a direct experience of this. The game is available on Steam for $44.95 Australian or your regional equivalent. It is also available on Xbox and PlayStation as well. It follows a one-time purchase model with no microtransactions and other tomfoolery, so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. There are several expansions available though that really do change the game, such as adding biotech, in-depth religion, and an ideology systems, cybernetics, and even like horror-themed enemies and stuff like that. Moving over to the conclusion, well, RimWorld has been a very pleasant surprise for me. Despite it not being fresh out of the oven, there is often merit in going back to an older game and just giving it a spin. While this game is a blast in single player mode, the main reason I started playing it because my friends wanted to play it on the multiplayer mode. And the multiplayer mod available on Steam offers a really, really wacky experience, and it gets even more funnier than playing single player for obvious reasons. I had a lot of fun solo recreating my XCOM squad and base, but playing multiplayer with my friends has been an unforgettably hilarious experience. RimWorld does look very simplistic visually, and the art style can be misleading, but if you give it a spin, you will be pleasantly surprised by a very competent and hilarious simulation game with very deep mechanics and a huge potential for replayability. Having said that, I do have some issues, or at least one issue with the game, and that is that there's often a ton of things happening at any given moment, and it can be very overwhelming, especially when you first start off, particularly in combat encounters. If you have a large squad of characters that you're controlling, it could sometimes be like 10 of your potato people against 10 or 15 other enemies, depending upon the settings, and this itself can be hectic. And combine that with the other mechanics that the game has, all of these settings that you can tune, all of these things that you can craft. So overall, things can get confusing, and the game does have a little bit of a sharp learning curve. But once you get past it, things are pretty intuitive and you get around it. But probably, I don't know, a more in-depth tutorial would have helped me, but it's not really that big of a deal. RimWorld is currently available on PC and console, as I mentioned, and a link to RimWorld's Is There Any Deal page is in the description, so you can check out if there are any sales going on. If you're interested in games like RimWorld, then I highly recommend Cryofall, Project Zomboid, and Oxygen Not Included. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you try RimWorld, well, hope you have a blast, and see you on the next one. It's been Wizkidace, so toodaloo.